Kia ora!
Kia ora!
And welcome back to Video Drones, or if it is your first time here, you're in for a treat because we're doing our top 10 crime films. Yes, indeed. I'm Hannah Hart, and this is
Nick Hart.
And we obsessively salivate and just cannot ever get enough of good cinema.
Especially crime cinema.
Turns out, that's the crazy thing. Like, I always thought my first favourite genre is horror, and my second favourite I always thought was sci-fi, but...
Wouldn't be mine.
From me, personally. I always thought sci-fi was my second favourite, but after looking into all the crime films that I can think of actually being crime, I was like, oh shit, I actually think that maybe my second favourite genre must be crime, because...
But
I
it's
have
like
so much.
It's like you were saying another day, though. Like almost any film can be a crime film. But
Yeah.
but you know the
Yeah.
films on our list
Yeah.
are like real crime films.
Yeah, we try to do like proper crimes, not ones that like kind of like could be kind of crimes. A bit like our Storm ones, which was a little bit sneaky. But this one is like, you know, these are crime films.
Yeah, or like a film like Gattaca. I said that, and you said, oh, it's not really a crime film, but it
But
does.
it is. But that's also sci-fi. So we thought we'd put... Anyway, but the reason why we're doing a top 10 list is because... Sight and
Sound's greatest films of all time list that only happens once a decade and is coming out on the 5th of December. So we're kind of doing lots of things in the run-up for that.
Yes, so we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to start doing some top 10s of our favourite films that we just... It's been an exhaustive process, particularly this one. But I imagine our top 10 films probably won't be like higher on the list of the actual official ones, but I think our top 10s are really... They're freaking good lists.
We might have a couple of, like when we do our top 10 films of all time, there might be a couple.
Might be a couple, but
who knows?
a lot of films I think get overlooked for various stupid reasons.
Yeah, they do. I think a lot of people vote for films that have been on previous lists, but I think it's a good idea to try and do new ones.
Freshen this shit
Maybe
up.
not new films, but ones that haven't been on previous lists.
Yeah, I reckon. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our number 10 and work our way up to number 1, and we're going to alternate each other. So I'll do my 10, he'll do his 10, and then we'll go all the way up to our number 1s, and then we've got to have some honourable mentions. I've got my top 5 honourable mentions, and then like a bunch of other films that like should have been on this list. But
So we're going to try and race through it.
Yeah, we're kind of try to smash them out pretty fast, so at least maybe a minute on each one.
So do you want to do your 10?
All right. Number 10 on my top 10 crime films of all time will be Decision to Leave by Park Chan-wook. I mean, to be honest, Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Thirst, The Handmaiden, all of his films are fantastic crime films, and I love them all so much. But Decision to Leave was a real step up and just reminded me of Hitchcock, reminded me of Vertigo and North by Northwest, and I just thought it was also at the same time very much its own film. So that definitely gets, number 10 for me easily.
Cool.
And what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Reversal of Fortune, which you fell asleep during, but it's really good. Like it's Jeremy Irons won an Academy Award for his role in this film.
Oh, that's the one with Getting Close, and she's like kind of passed out.
He moiders her, or does he?
Or does
like,
her.
That's the thing,
Yes,
and it's
that's
all
right,
about the court case, and like you know, there's like a diabetes syringe that is laced with something, I think, and it's just it's a very cool film, and his thank you at the Academy Awards was really cool because he thanked before anything else Cronenberg for Dead Ringers, which is also sort of a crime film.
Yes, nice.
Because I think that he really was kind of winning for Dead Ringers in a way.
Who was the director again, sorry?
Of Reversal of Fortune.
Yes.
Schrader. He's like a French guy, or maybe Belgian guy.
Interesting.
Who kind of moved to Hollywood in the late 80s and did lots of cool films. Lots of crime films, actually. Kiss of Death with Nicolas Cage, and some really other good ones.
That's a good 10. Good start.
It's an unusual one, but yeah, that's cool.
It's definitely very crime. It's all around a crime.
Totally.
Yeah, crime is the essence of drama, so it will be in a lot of cinema, but yeah. Okay, so number 9 for me is Nightcrawler by Dan Gilroy. I don't know much about his other stuff, but there's just, Nightcrawler is so good. It is so creepy. Is it Toby Maguire? Is the main actor? No, it's the other guy.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. For some reason I get those two mixed up sometimes. I don't know why. But he is absolutely sublime. It is creepy. It's mostly set at night. It's got car crashes. It's a little bit Cronenbergian to me like that.
It's a Los Angeles film. We need to say that a lot of these will probably be Los Angeles films because it's the city of crime, and it's like it's Hollywood as well. So it's yeah, it's the city of crime, I think.
Do see it. Nightcrawler. It's spectacular.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, I'm going to smash through these.
You are. You're going a lot quicker than me. My number 9 is Internal Affairs. Another one we've got a repetitive thing happening here because you fell asleep during that one as well.
It's weird.
It's
so weird.
It is weird.
It's so weird because I don't normally fall asleep. It was probably when we started first dating and I fell asleep a lot, but now I just don't. My insomnia is fully back. Yeah. But fantastic. What I saw of it, I loved Richard Gere as being like
the most corrupt
baddie.
cop ever.
And it's so good. I was like, oh, I wish there were more films with Richard being the baddie because he is such a good baddie. Yeah.
It's another unusual crime film in that it's directed by a British guy, Mike Figgis, who does the soundtracks to his films, very sort of atmospheric, jazzy kind of scores, a bit like Angelo Badalamenti in this case, you said. But yeah, Richard Gere and Andy Garcia hated each other when they made this, so it's quite fun watching them like this cat and mouse kind of.
Their hatred was real, folks.
It really was. I think one of them got to punch the other in the face. Actually, Andy Garcia, and there's an interview on YouTube where he says you can tell he's really proud that he just punched him one time and knocked him out. His character out anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that's got such good chemistry between the characters.
Another sort of unusual one, but I'm trying to do ones that people might not have seen.
They're still the best.
Yeah,
just because they're unusual.
Yeah, it's my best. It's my best. It's a lot of people's wouldn't be their best.
No, I loved it, and I've been wanting to finish it off.
It's shot by John Alonzo, who shot Chinatown, which totally would have been like probably my number 1 on this list, but I'm going to save it for my top 10 films of all time because I really love Chinatown.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
So this film looks amazing. Anyway,
it does. Okay, number 8, The Machinist by Brad Anderson.
Yep.
You might not initially think it's a crime film. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it definitely is a crime film. You've got Christian Bale reduced to a literal skeleton. It is terrifying. And what's her name again? Jennifer Jason Leigh. I love her.
Plastic surgery disaster.
Before the face disaster. She was so beautiful.
Crime.
That's a crime in itself. Such a beautiful woman. And now she's done this weird shit to her face. Anyway, The Machinist is just so unsettling and it's amazing upon repeat viewings. It's very dark, set at night a lot. It's about someone who's an insomniac and doesn't eat much. You know, I can certainly relate to the insomniac.
I love that green look of the film and the soundtrack. They shot it all in Spain as well, in Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
It's very different to, it almost looks like LA, but it's not LA. You can tell it's like a weird...
Yeah, it's like an otherworldly, almost like like an alternate Earth kind of place. So good. It looks so good and it's so messed up in a good way. So yeah, that had to be number 8 for me.
Copland.
Which that was really good. I almost put that one on my list.
Yeah.
But you took it, so that was good.
Another one that kind of wouldn't turn up on most people's lists, but it should totally. Like in my opinion, it's like. I mean, I would have chosen a lot of films like Goodfellas and Godfather Part 2, but they're just like the obvious choices. Yeah. Copland should be an obvious choice.
It should be, yeah.
It's probably the only film, apart from Cobra, that I like Sylvester Stallone.
I know, I can't stand him. I don't think he makes any sense, and he's not much of an actor.
He's such a doofus,
But he is
he plays the ultimate doofus in this.
But he plays it really, really well. It made me like him, which I didn't think could happen.
He's an endearing kind of doofus in this.
And it's got Harvey Keitel, who's amazing, Ray Liotta. Yep. It's by James Mangold.
Yeah.
Mangold.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of gone the route of doing these really silly films. Like he did that Marvel film Logan, which was
that wasn't so
better
bad.
Than some of them, but still he showed so much promise with this film, and he did Identity, which was pretty good.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
was good.
Yeah, and
Robert De Niro's in it.
Yeah, it's got some really good.
It's unreal. It's so good, and it's one of those like films where I'm like, why doesn't everyone instantly think of this when they think of a crime film? With the big heavy hitters, because it is so up there. It's amazing.
There's an interesting cameo by Blondie, Deborah Harry, I should say, and the sort of. You should, if you watch it, you need to see the director's cut because it makes so much more sense. There's all these scenes chopped out that just don't make sense.
I'm glad I didn't see it.
Kathy Moriarty from Raging Bull has a real kind of raggedy sort of role in this, which is quite fun. And it's got an amazing score by Howard Shore, which is a huge part of why it's so good. It's like he's in his prime. Like in my opinion, it's better than his Silence of the Lambs score. It's just really, really special.
Wow. Okay, number 7. 7. Ha! I didn't even realize that when I did it. But my
Wow.
number 7 is 7 by David Fincher, because the nighttime, the raining, the atmosphere, that is one you can just rewatch and rewatch and rewatch, and it's always got something a little bit more that you're seeing. Also, I can't stand Gwyneth Paltrow, so yay for this film. Just gorgeous, amazing.
It's
really
one of my
hard.
favourite films of all time.
All time, yeah.
Like,
It is really that good. And of course, now we know that Kevin Spacey really is a creep. It makes even more sense that he plays a total creep. But just the whole concept, the execution, everything about this is just such a fantastic film.
I once chose to watch it as we were landing in Boston, I think, on a plane, and I knew that we were really anxious about being like what do they call the people? Border
Border control? Yeah.
People who like
Security.
customs.
Security, those guys.
We had to lie to them basically to be able to play these gigs in America, and it would mean if we didn't get in, it would mean that our whole tour was kind of like cancelled in America. So but I chose to watch this really, really suspenseful, anxiety-inducing film, and it kind of like made me feel a lot more relaxed for some weird reason.
That's so weird, but yeah, I can see that happening. It's kind of therapeutic watching something fucked up.
Yeah. Darius Khondji, did you say, did the cinematography for 7?
I didn't say, but yes. Amazing. One of the greatest cinematographers all time.
And Howard Shore again.
And Howard Shore again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 7. What's your number 7?
The Greasy Strangler. I love that film.
It is so disgusting. I watched it once. I was like, I never can ever watch this again. But then I did watch it again, and I was like, I'm starting to grow on me. It's a little bit charming.
It's just, there's nothing like it. It's
Somehow.
just so bonkers.
And the most disgusting way, it's
the-
sort of charming.
The actors are just so kind of such weird people, and yeah, I've forgotten the guy's name, Jim Hosking. I really hope that he gets to make more films like that. Unfortunately, his second film wasn't quite as
pretty good,
perverse
But
as
it
the
wasn't.
first one.
He kind of thrives on perversity, big fake schlongs and just gross
Out humor,
stuff.
but he does it in a real kind of sophisticated way. I
Yes,
think.
that's the bizarre kind of dualism of his films. It's just disgusting, kind of like Tim and Eric kind of level gross, but then it's kind of also fairly sophisticated in the weirdest way.
And
So.
thank you to Toby Maguire Elijah Wood. is
Elijah
it?
Wood, yeah,
for producing
yeah.
it, but no thanks to him for cancelling Richard Stanley's other films
Bad.
after.
We loved
Colour
you,
Out of Space.
Elijah, until that little move. Like, what the heck? That's a whole nother thing. We'll talk
Yeah.
about some other time.
Rah.
Should we go on 6?
Yeah, go for it.
6 for me is Jacob's Ladder. It is very much a crime film. It's not really
Governmental crime.
It's more about governmental, what the American government, the CIA, have done to the American public, but it's also like this really mind-bending kind of horror directed by Adrian Lyne, and I get so angry when I think about how little recognition it got when it came out, because it's just such a fantastic film on so many fronts. And I want to quickly mention also, there's a series called Wormwood, a mini-series by Errol Morris. It's on Netflix, so you can probably find it somewhere else. But that is also about how the CIA, the FBI, has just done these terrible things to the main scientist that sort of was developing acid and working with it.
I didn't realise it was Errol Morris. He's great. Like, he's
Yeah.
done a lot of really important.
Oh, wait
documentaries.
till I couldn't finish it by myself because it was so upsetting and depressing, because just the American government, it tries to act like it's not bad. It's so freaking evil.
Evil fuckers.
But yeah, so those kind of 2 films about what the American government has done to its people, but also Jacob's Ladder is seriously just one of the greatest films ever made, and really deserves more recognition. And I can't understand why it didn't get all the Oscars. It's just so amazing. It's like a fever dream, and it's just brilliant, and there's just always something to be kind of learnt from it, really. What's going on there? What have you found there? Okay, this is your number 6?
My number 6 is Close Up by Abbas Kiarostami, Iranian director who I really, really love.
I need to watch some of his stuff. He sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I love Iranian.
I did film at Fine Arts at university here in New Zealand, and this was a film that I chose to show the rest of the class, to sort of show my love of cinema. It's a film also for cinephiles, because it's a weird film. It's not a documentary, but it's the true story of Hassan Subsian. I can't pronounce that.
Subsian?
Apologies.
Subsian.
He's a cinephile who impersonated the director, another director who was very famous in Iran, to convince the family that they would star in his so-called new film. Like, he didn't even really have a film, but he just kind of went to this family's house and went in and talked to, it was a bit like him, like me or something impersonating Peter Jackson. You know, it's like it was quite funny,
So bizarre.
but in close up, the actor who plays him is actually himself. It's the real guy who committed this crime.
Yeah, that's so meta.
It's real meta.
It's on like a whole different universe.
And it's sort of all about cinema, like Iranian cinema. But yeah, it's a beautiful film, and he's a really special director who died a couple of years ago. But yeah, I love a lot of films of his. Taste of Cherry is another really good one. Where is the Friend's House is great. I mean, all of them are really good. So
definitely director to look out for.
Yep. We need to watch some.
Number 5 for me is Natural Born Killers by Oliver Stone. The only film that I really like that Quentin Tarantino had anything to do with. I saw this when I was too young, and I loved it too much. I'm just obsessed with it. Visually, it does things that no film had ever done. It's got this incredible performance from Juliette Lewis and Woody Harrelson playing the killers, Mickey and Mallory Knox. And then you've got Robert Downey Jr. doing an Australian accent like perfectly. He's like batonga 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 bell. He actually nails the Australian
He's
accent.
hilarious. Yeah.
And it's got, is it Harvey Keitel? No, is it Harvey Keitel? Yeah, he's playing this like crusty old
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
You always get this
Why do I
mixed
always
up?
get them mixed up?
Because you love Tommy Lee Jones.
He's the one that I love the most. Tommy Lee Jones is like the man. But yeah, so he's this crusty old like prison warden. There's so many like iconic moments, and it's all about like these serial killer killing sprees that become kind of media darlings. It's really ahead of its time. It makes a lot of statements about violence on television and how it affects people and how we idolize. I mean, look, I'm wearing a freaking Jeffrey Dahmer top, so that's kind of what.
Fuck Cops t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, actually, once we saw really quickly, if you didn't hate cops much, you will despise them after seeing the Jeffrey Dahmer monster series by Ryan.
Yeah, these t-shirts go really well together.
They work really well together because, I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic series. It really focuses on the victims and how completely inept the cops were and how basically they enabled Jeffrey Dahmer to continue murdering people because they were gay and black, generally. And they just let it happen. It was disgusting. So these t-shirts go together very well. But also, Natural Born Killers and me wearing a Jeffrey Dahmer top is kind of like, yeah.
I'm sure there are some cops who do good things for their communities, but I think there are more who are bad.
They probably get into it for reasons of power and control. In New Zealand, they're not too bad if you're white. If you're white,
it's a bit of a generalization to say that.
They're not as bad as America. But there must be good cops, but it's certainly not as bad in New Zealand as in America and a lot of other countries, but it's still not perfect. And also, yeah, I think if we went white, we'd probably have quite a different perspective of New Zealand police.
Yes,
I would say. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, you're number 5.
There's a Repo Man by Alex Cox.
You have a Repo Man top from Sam Ovens on Dunedin. It's so cool. It glows in the dark. It's dopest t-shirt.
Anyway, I love Alex Cox. He was a film critic before he became a director, and
so cool.
or was it the other way around? Anyway, he does a lot of interesting film criticism for British TV, and Harry Dean Stanton is in this. And,
I love Harry Dean so much.
Martin Sheen's son, Emilio Estevez.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah, I forgot that.
It's a really, really cool film. Like, I don't like that many comedies. I mean, I do like comedies, but this is one that I love. I just love it. It's like a really, really cool kind of black humor. And yeah, it's just very special, very unusual mind that guy has, and it's and that great line I said this last week. Let's go do some crimes. There's lots of punks in this film.
Yeah, I love that.
It's one of the most punk rock movies ever.
Yes, it's got that genuine punk edge, which is really difficult to find in cinema. Unfortunately, people who love Repo Man are obsessed with Repo Man, and that really just says it all. I think. Yeah, great film. Yeah. So cool. Okay, number 4. Now, this is a film that when I first saw it, I went, I don't know what to think of you, Lars von Trier, but, or Trier. I think it is Trier. Okay, so, yeah, but the next day I couldn't stop thinking about it and I started falling in love with it. And there's these ending sequences that are like something out of Tarkovsky, which I didn't even know Tarkovsky was a thing, but it made me like weep. It was so beautiful. This is The House That Jack Built. Very controversial film. Basically, maybe Lars saying he's a bit of a psychopath, and if he could get away with these things, maybe he would. And he says it's a very personal film. But it's so clever and it's so good, and it's just terrible. Like there's some really cruel scenes, but there's this weird sort of demented humour that accompanies it all. That
like all Lars films.
like all Lars, but he's just really pushed it right to the edge. But it's like a morality tale, and in the ending you've sort of got Virgil, it's like Dante's
Inferno.
Inferno kind of ending,
which is like probably is my favourite book of all time. I love that book.
And honestly, like visually, what happens in those last few scenes, just like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like I actually cried. It was so gorgeous. But yeah, it's a confusing film because in some ways it's the most grotesque, disturbing thing I've ever seen, involving frozen bodies and piano wire and
child murder,
and it's really like, right on the edge. But I think it's an incredible film and one of my favorite from Lars. It's just subversive brilliance, and it is so crime. It's about a serial killer, and he explains himself. He kind of interacts with his audience, and it's just so good. Yeah.
So my one number four is Los Angeles Plays Itself. Quite an unusual choice. This is a documentary. I really wanted to put the O.J. Simpson documentary on because I that era of sort of culture in Los Angeles is very special to me. But I had to put this on because it's really, really cool. It's more, if you're a cinephile, you have to see this film. It's a documentary that's nearly 3 hours long on how Los Angeles has been used and depicted in the movies. So Los Angeles being the city of crime, cinematic crime, it's like most of the films are about crime, really, in a way. There's so many film noir in this documentary, and it sort of looks at how didn't say it in the synopsis here, but it's sort of about how Los Angeles has been depicted, but more about how the architecture of certain sets, like places, and it's very, very special. Tom Anderson is like a writer, a film critic who wrote the sort of the dialogue, and he gets this guy to Ink King, that's a very unusual name, to voice it, and it's very droll, like it's very droll delivery, so it's very different to anything you've probably seen, but
I'm really looking forward to seeing
totally recommend it.
Exciting.
One of my faves.
Yeah, you've told me about it a lot, so I don't know why I haven't gotten
We've watched little bits, like I've shown you little bits, but
Okay, number 3, Fire Walk with Me by David Lynch.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this film too.
All of his films have elements of crime or things that are criminal that are done to people. But Fire Walk with Me is one of my favourite films ever. It's the first Lynch that I ever saw, thanks to Nick, during a lunchtime screening. It was the most terrifying and disturbing thing I'd ever seen. Like, there was just something about it. Like, initially I was like so charmed by the whole like, she's my brother's sister's girl kind of carry on, like I was like, oh, this is so charming. This is one of my favorite scenes in cinematic history, which is the scene in the diner.
It kind of has like it's almost in the same way that Lost Highway, I reckon the first half an hour of that is almost like a different film. Then it switches after the characters switch. But Fire Walk with Me is a little bit like that because you have Kiefer Sutherland and Chris Isaac, and they're so humorous. But then when the film switches, then you actually kind of see the crime set up and the amazing performance by Sheryl Lee.
Sheryl Lee is just she should have got Oscar for that. One of the best performances ever. And it's really dark, it's really horrifying, but it's also Lynch, so it's absolutely gorgeous. It's about the final days of Laura Palmer, and it stands alone.
It's a prequel
but it stands alone really well, I think, and it's just the most extraordinary film. And then luckily he does get to, he builds on a lot of the mythos that he's developing in The Return, so it's one of those really essential films to watch if you like David Lynch and you want to know more about that universe. It all makes sense. I mean, I showed it to my son and he said this is a bit too dark, a bit too disturbing, and he didn't think it was very well thought out. And that was the irony, though. You'd think, like, is he just making this shit up? Oh, David Lynch? No, he's not. Everything he's talking about has a reason. There's something connected to it. The characters all have like their own kind of story. So he's basically, besides Lovecraft, he's one of the only directors to sort of create his own universe, David Lynch. So everything does make sense, but you won't necessarily find out straight away what that means, and you really kind of got to dig. for the dream symbolism and things like that. And yeah, it is a little bit unnecessarily mean, sort of, a bit, yeah, maybe, especially to quite a sensitive person. And yeah, it certainly is very disturbing. But to me, like, that is the disturbing horror of a suburban life that looks fine on the outside, but there's other things going on inside. You know, this beautiful young woman that seems like she has it all, the prom queen, but her life is falling apart, and it's just exquisite film.
So my number 3, is it?
Yep, number 3.
3 is Dogville.
Oh, good choice.
This is like one of my favourite films of all time.
Me too. Yeah.
It might even reappear on my top 10 greatest films list. But yeah, I mean, when it came out of the movies, I literally went to see it.
So lucky you saw the movies.
Went to see it 11 times. Like I spent, you know, like $150 on it.
Wow.
Because it just like transported me to this other very particular world. And it's like Lars based it a little bit on this BBC TV movie they did of a Charles Dickens novel. So that John Hurt is the narrator in this, and it kind of gives it this Dickensian kind of thing.
And it's all sort of set on like it's sort of sketched out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a stage almost, but it's all blacked out, and like so you don't really see the houses, but they're sort of props, and when they're opening and closing doors, they're sort of pretending. So it's like kind of like watching a play.
Yeah.
But it's also like a whole nother thing. Don't let that put you off. You think, oh, what's she?
No,
this is like...
I don't like theatre. In fact, like Basson said, I think theatre is a bastard art. But it's set in small Colorado community, and it's sort of in the really early 20th century. And it's definitely a crime.
30s, I think. 20s or 30s.
Yeah. There is a sequel to this, but it's kind of like you don't need one. Like Lars even...
No, why would you need one?
One of the only regrets he's had is making the Mandalay.
I haven't watched it. Didn't want to.
I've only seen it once, twice, but
Nicole Kidman, wasn't a huge fan of Nicole Kidman before this film.
Oh yeah,
afterwards
amazing.
became a massive fan and started watching all their movies. It's just spectacular.
Yeah, poor Nicole's character. I mean, that's really where the crime thing takes place. But
it's a very moralistic tale too. I mean, it's very biblical actually.
Your dad would probably like it.
My dad did like it.
Oh, he did.
I showed my dad a Lars von Trier film, and he liked it. He got it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Dance in the Dark. That's basically like about someone being crucified who was innocent. But yeah, Dogville, conservative Christian man really liked it because it's just exceptional filmmaking, and it's just one of those films that I just always have a very strong connection with.
Quentin Tarantino, who's not one of our favourite directors, very annoying human in a lot of ways, but that's why I don't really like his films, because it's almost like his personality projected onto all these characters.
Yeah.
But you know, he has lots of opinions on film that I really agree with, and I like lots of the stuff he recommends. And he thought that Lars von Trier should have won the Pulitzer Prize or the Nobel Prize for this.
Oh, I
screenwriting.
That was a good call. Good call, Quentin Tarantino. I totally agree with you. This was a terribly overlooked film, but it's just one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah.
Totally. Right, number 2, No Country for Old Men.
Oh, so it did make your crime list.
It did. I almost was going to put it in my top 10 of all time, but then I thought, no, nah, I don't have much room. So I had to kind of push this one into top 10 crime, but I love this film so much. Like, I love that it's just so different. It fucks with the audience. It does things that no film would ever done before, really. The performances, especially by who's that handsome Latin American guy?
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name right there.
Kind of looks like a horse.
He looks so weird. He's got this disgusting haircut. He plays like the best villain, like just the best. And the hero is played by what's his name? He's so good though.
Oh, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin is fantastic in this role. It is just, I just love it. I love it because it isn't what you think it will be. I like that it subverts expectations. I like how it looks. I love the acting. I love the writing. It is just absolutely sublime, in my opinion. Just wow. Once you've seen it, you'll never forget it, and you'll want to watch it over and over and over and over again. It's one of those films. So good, so dark, and so good. What's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is going to be Good Time by the Safdie Brothers.
Good choice.
I mean, you kind of need to. I love them, and I think
Safdie Brothers are
they just love cinema, and like I love hearing them talk, and they talk over each other like we kind of do.
Yeah.
And
my kids do.
I did originally have Chinatown, but I need to save that for my top 10 films, but it's very special to me. That's the film I've seen the most, like, out of any film, actually. But anyway, Uncut Gems, also Uncut Gems could have been my favourite, but good time. I just get more kind of pleasure watching that film. I love it, and Heaven Knows What is definitely a crime
really
film.
good.
It's really cool. Robert Pattinson, great performance. Benny Safdie, I really like his performance. Some people don't like it.
I love Benny Safdie actually as an actor. I think he's fantastic.
This film makes me cry every time I see it. Like in the end, when they have to walk across the room. No, it doesn't give really good
you're
story.
talking about walking across the room. Yeah, that's fine.
Walking across the room. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in this film as well. And this is like post plastic surgery disasters, but she's really good in it. In the sort of cameo that she has.
Yeah.
Buddy Juris, he kind of steals the show. The guy that sort of has gotten out of jail. Well, not gotten out of jail. He's like sort of still in jail, but he's in hospital, and they, accidentally get his body out. It's a great film. Like everything about it is so cool, including the One Note Tricks Point Never soundtrack, which is really, really good.
And Robert Pattinson, so good.
Yeah,
that dude kicks ass.
I like his blonde hair as well.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Not that one's blonde anymore.
It'll be blonde soon. My number one. Now, okay, I couldn't choose between Cure and Creepy by Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Oh, you're doing a
I know, I was a little bit naughty, but
this happens on a lot of people's lists. You'll see this in the Sight and Sound thing.
I could not choose. Cure and Creepy are both the best, and I tried really hard to choose. I can't. Both Cure and Creepy. Cure's a bit older, Creepy's a bit more recent. They are both just so good, and there's quite a similar premise in both of them, with the sort of detective stuff that's going on with the detective, the way it's shot. Just Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
I love his films very much.
He's just like, yeah, he's up there with Tarkovsky for me. And how crazy is that? Because that is a hell of a compliment. They're both just absolutely amazing crime films. Creepy is so creepy.
I don't like the way that looks as much as
because it's digital.
Yeah, it's
you
can tell it's
you have
digital.
a real thing about digital.
Yeah, I do.
See,
you watch more TV, and like all TV is digital.
I do watch more TV. I do. Yeah, I prefer the look of Cure, sure, and there's many things about Cure that are just superior to Creepy, but then at the same time, Creepy has elements that are just superior to like anything. So they're both my top. Gosh, this thing is like shiny. I'm trying to like.
It looks cool when it shines, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's my top one. Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure and Creepy.
Very well done.
But so good.
Yeah, I love Cure. A big influence on what was his name, Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah. He's also brilliant.
So my number one is like the cinematic kind of operatic masterpiece of crime genre filmmaking, Heat by Michael Mann. It's it's like nearly 3 hours long, and it's the first film ever to feature De Niro and Al Pacino acting in a scene together. They were in Godfather Part 2, but they weren't, like De Niro played the father of Al Pacino's character. So that actually, Godfather Part 2 was going to be in my top 10 crime films list, but I reckon a lot of people choose Godfather films. So I really do love Part 2. I find Part 1, I was just saying this.
270s, I think.
Well, no, not that, but I find Part 1 a lot more cartoonish, thanks to Marlon Brando's performance. He put like, what was it, shoe polish in his hair and kind of had these funny
cotton balls.
Yeah, cotton balls in his mouth. It's just a cartoonish performance. It's not bad, but it's like the second one is just so much more bleak and brooding. And Lee Strasberg, who kind of is almost like a Marlon Brando character. He's the guy that invented method acting, and his acting is way more realistic. But anyway, Heat, Michael Mann. I mean, lots of his films are Los Angeles crime films, or crime films at least, and like Collateral with that great Tom Cruise performance. As a villain, he's a great villain.
Yeah, he is.
But anyway, Heat, I just love it. It's a huge influence on one of our most overrated directors, Christopher Nolan, or Christ Nolan, as I call him, because he has so many fans.
Yeah, fanboys.
But yes, that's my top.
Heat, yeah, fantastic. Okay, here's my top 5 honourable mentions that I wanted to slip in.
I've
but
got
I
a lot more
couldn't.
than that. But
Yeah, and I've got some more after that, but these are the top 5. These are the ones that almost made it to my list. So we've got Mishima by Paul Schrader, which is about Yukio Mishima. You gotta know about that guy, holy moly. Fight Club by David Fincher. I saw that when I was 16. I loved Where Is My Mind by the Pixies, just that song, mainly just that song, and the ending, and Marla, and I'm so much like Marla. It freaks me out. Just love that film. I know that there's people like, it's a macho film. It's not, shut up. It's about capitalism and how much it sucks. And that's why I love it. And it also looks freaking unreal.
Marla,
I just love it.
Scab on the roof of your mouth that would only heal if you stopped tonguing it.
I just love it. I love it so much. Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, shit. She's like, they say it's a sexist film, but Marla is literally the pivotal character. She is the central role. Nothing would have happened without Marla. So shut the fuck up, those people. And then, of course, we've got Prisoners and Sicario by Villeneuve, because he does a lot of great crime films. They almost made it, but yes, I had to, Nightcrawler kind of won out. Requiem for a Dream by Aronofsky. That is the ultimate anti-drug crime film. Once Were Warriors, because I need a New Zealand mention, but this is actually a really, really good film. It's by Lee Tamahori. It's about a family.
He was arrested. This is a crime. He was arrested in like Hollywood Boulevard or somewhere like that for impersonating a prostitute.
Crazy.
But I think that he actually was, like, for some weird reason. It's like his neighbours say, "Oh, he's the loveliest man ever." He would never do something like that. But he does have these weird sexual kind of things that kind of turn up from film to film, like rumours surrounding the productions. So yes, anyway.
I think Once Were Warriors was the one film to make me like cry bitterly. Like I was sobbing in that film. What Happens to Grace with Uncle Billy is just steel yourself. It's New Zealand films have a way of being super raw and gritty in a way that other films just don't. We have, I don't know, it's something about New Zealand
maybe like,
directors.
is it Norwegian crime TV and
that
stuff?
might be one of the closest. But there's just something particularly bleak and brutal about New Zealand films. We are dark people. Like a lot of our famous writers were completely crazy, and like our literature is really dark and scary. But it's such a fantastic film, incredible performances, and just totally unforgettable. And then we've got Sin City, Frank Miller and Rodriguez. I love Frank Miller, and I love that they made his films. His comics come to life so well. We've got Angel Heart by Alan Parker. See that has got, okay, I'm not smiling because I like it, but there's a really, 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 really fucked up scene in that just like was like, are you, what? They didn't put that in a movie. So good though. Robert De Niro is like this creepy guy, and we've got the guy who played the wrestler.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, who's also in Sin City.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good. So he's also in Sin City. Then we've got Malice by Harold Becker, an early film of Nicole Kidman.
And a great creepy performance by the guy that has gotten away with murdering someone on the set of his film, Alec Baldwin.
And it's also got Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Pullman. He's great. I wish he was in more films. I love him. Then we've got Nitram and Snowtown by Justin Kurzel. We've done a review on Nitram. Boy, they are like similar to New Zealand films. It's like, wow, you really do.
They do crime. The Aussies
especially
do
Snowtown.
They're the best crime directors, in my opinion.
I think they beat us with crime. Pretty much any Aussie crime film is totally worth watching, and Snowtown is just so bleak, but it's very good, based on true story of the serial killers that actually involved a
John
community.
Bunting.
So crazy. That was a bizarre.
Bunting, like a cat.
Bunting, or like bunting that you put on your walls. Then of course we've got Lolita by Adrienne Lyne. I almost put that in my top 10, but there's some scenes that make me really uncomfortable because she's so damn young.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, I know, but just but
it's a beautifully made film,
so and yes, the way it looks.
Pedophilia is totally a bad
so
crime.
So hard to deal with, but it's so well done. Jeremy Irons is just incredible. You've got it's just
Ennio Morricone's score.
It's just so good. Then we've got Sunset Boulevard by Billy Wilder, one of David Lynch's favourite films. We've got Fargo by the Coen brothers.
You need to see Double Indemnity. That's a great crime film by Billy Wilder.
Yeah, he's a great director.
And Ace in the Hole, which is probably my favourite out of his films, which is a crime film as well.
Ooh, I said Fargo because Fargo's pretty awesome. Especially when I was young, I was just like, wow, what is this with The Witcher? But this is fantastic. And of course, Frances McDormand, I fell in love with her. McDormand?
Yeah.
Fell in love with her on the spot. She's amazing. American Psycho by Mary Harron. One of the only female directors on this list.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Boy, she is so good. That was so close to being my top 10, or just my top favourite films of all time, but I just couldn't quite do it. Falling Down by Joel Schumacher. You have to see that. It is such a great statement.
Probably his best film, actually.
Oh, so Michael Douglas is like a disgruntled worker, and he has had enough of everything, and it's just so good. Such a fantastic film. Climax by Gaspar Noé. It's the only film of his that I really like. It's got lots of dancing and music and intense scenes, and it's definitely a crime because there's some acid going on and people don't know they're getting the acid and things get really, really, really fucked up. That is such a cool film and one of the only ones of his that I can actually stand. Resurrection by Andrew Simmons, that recently came out. We really want to do a review of it.
Tim Roth, what a performance.
Was this something really
one of the best
creepy
performances he's done in years, I think.
Oh yeah, and the woman that he acted alongside, I've seen her in a few things.
Rebecca Hall. She was in The Night House.
Yes, that's her best performance ever, I think. That should have gotten an Oscar. Gee, she's amazing in that. That is a creepy, creepy film, and like in a very different kind of way. It's very clever. And Night of the Hunter by Charles Lawton. Lawton?
Yeah.
Lawton. Looks like Laughton. But Lawton.
I think that's how you say
And
it,
that's like from the 50s, black and white, super creepy and
he's an actor,
gorgeous.
like a very famous actor, and he just directed this one film, which I don't think was a big hit, so he kind of didn't make another one. But yeah, he's very good.
Yeah,
one of the
what a
Safdie
vision.
brothers' favourite films.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, what's your honourable mentions?
There's lots, but I'm gonna
Just
get
smash
through
it.
them.
We're just gonna have to just say them because we're getting close to.
Yeah, we are.
we're
But,
getting sort of-
yeah.
we wanna
Do,
go
Do the
for it.
Right Thing is one of my favourite films of all time. It'll probably turn up in my top 10. Very special film to me. Internal Affairs. Did I? Yeah, I've already gone there. White Dog. Sam Fuller. I
Racist
love
Dog.
That. Yeah, it
Which
is.
we do with racist people. Is there any way that we can actually like make them work with our society and rehabilitate them, or can we just like not? It's a good film.
Sam Fuller, he's great.
Yeah, good film on racism.
Body Double by De Palma. I love that. That's my favourite film of his.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson documentary. I've already said it. L'Argent. I really wanted to have some more Bresson on this list, but we
Pickpockets,
did it
very
for-
much crime. Yeah.
And A Man Escaped as well. Great prison film. Animal Kingdom. Good Aussie crime. Vertigo. Of course. Cutter's Way, which we were watching the other night when you fell asleep during it, I think. But it's a really, really good film with Jeff Bridges. Kind of. It's a bit like Chinatown, but with these kind of, it's almost like Midnight Cowboy crossed with Chinatown or something. But it's really cool.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Devil's Honey, I like that film. It's an exploitation film. It kind of got me into the exploitation genre, which is only a recent thing for me. But I love that film. It's so over the top.
Ridiculous.
They Live by Night, which is Nicholas Ray, and I love that film. Maybe his best film. Something Wild, which I really, really love. It's Melanie Griffith and Ray Liotta.
Oh yeah, that's a great film.
Yeah, really, really
Yeah,
cool.
I really,
Jonathan
really like
Demme,
that.
one of his better films, I think.
It's a little lighter than some of these other entries.
Yeah.
Little.
Rear Window,
Mm-hmm.
David Lynch's favourite, Hitchcock. Seven, I love that a lot. It might even end up being in my top 10 films of all
It's
time.
pretty freaking up there. It's got so many elements that Nick loves. Nighttime, raining, horror.
Intense horror, great soundtrack. Darius Konji, cinematography. Anyway, Lady from Shanghai, I really adore that film. Orson Welles. Godfather Part 2, Scarface. So I mean, that's like the crime film actually in a lot of ways.
Say hello to my little friend.
American Psycho, Goodfellas, The Card Counter, Zodiac, Killing Them Softly, Andrew Dominic, Scanner Darkly. Yeah, that's quite a cool film. Traffic, I really, really like that actually. That's easily
Soderbergh's best,
his best film. The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, I maybe should have included that because I really, really love John Cassavetes, and that's my favourite Cassavetes.
Cassavetes, remember him?
Maybe his only crime film, but oh no, others could be. King of New York, Abel Ferrara, we've got him up there behind your head. He's a director I really, really like a lot. A lot of people hate him, but he's very polarising. He did The Addiction, that black and white vampire film.
Oh, yeah.
Con Air, a sort of guilty pleasure film of mine. Silence of the Lambs, The Ghostwriter, Polanski. He does a lot of good crime films.
Yeah,
actually.
Polanski does a lot of great. No one does paranoia like Polanski. He is the king of paranoia.
He was a big influence on The Machinist, actually.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. The Long Goodbye by Robert Altman was quite cool. Who did Three Women?
I love Three Women.
Drive.
That's kind of crimey, but yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. No, not really.
Drive by your favourite Nicholas Winding Refn.
Such a dick.
He's the most pretentious loser ever.
Such a dick.
But he's a good filmmaker.
He's a really good filmmaker. Really, especially visually. I'm like, fuck you, you're such a dick, but your films are pretty good.
Menace to Society. I love that film.
Yeah, so good. It's like Ice Cube in it.
No, that's Boys in the Hood.
Ah, yeah, that's also very good.
Samuel L. Jackson was really good in Madness, though. Basic Instinct.
No.
Lolita.
No.
Shattered Image by Raul Ruiz.
Raul Ruiz.
The Comfort of Strangers by Paul Schrader. I love that film.
Love our show.
The Golden Glove, which you had to stop watching. That German
I
serial
cannot.
killer
That was
film.
just wait. Yeah, too real, man. Too real. I could smell that movie.
Yeah.
Did not like it.
Sunset Boulevard, A Man Escaped, Eyes Without a Face. I love George Franju.
Yes, pretty amazing.
The Reckless Moment by Max Ophuls, who's Kubrick's favourite director, I think. Pickpocket, Philadelphia, Naked by Mike Leigh, another sort of favourite film that might appear on some of the lists. Promising Young Woman, Wanda, which we watched recently. I think it's a very special film.
Very special.
The Limits of Control, Gattaca, Rumblefish, which you still need to finish watching. Or did we finish? Yeah. Crash, one of my favourites, by Cronenberg, not that other horrendous Crash.
I don't even want to see that.
Light Sleeper, Ace in the Hole, In a Lonely Place by Nicholas Ray, and The White Ribbon, which we need to watch. The Funny Games director, but this film's quite different and it's very special. Yeah.
Oh wow! So that's it. Giving you a bit of a list for you to all make your way through. Let us know which is your favourite crime movie. Maybe one we might have overlooked. Maybe tell us why you like it. And if you want us to put it in the description below, let us know, because otherwise we won't do it. Just ask if you want a list, and we'll do it. But yeah, it was lovely to see you all again. I hope you enjoyed our little spiel, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
For our PG top 10.
Films that you can watch with your kids, because we don't really do that. But I really want children to become enamored with cinema, so we're thinking of what are the best PG films to get kids.
Yeah, they probably won't be like kids films, like traditional kids films, but they can be kids films.
But yeah, we needed to come up with some PG options that you can watch with your kids. You know, get them into cinema. You got to do that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.